It has, but the turn that it has taken in the last couple of days is something that has sent shockwaves through the country. Basically, for members of your audience who may not know, a few weeks ago, the now suspended spokeswoman of the ruling party, the BJP, Nupur Sharma, made remarks about the Prophet that were seen to be anti-Islamic and inflammatory and insulting to Islam. And since then, we have seen these ratcheted up tensions. The government, in fact, disassociated itself from these remarks. But what we saw happening in Rajasthan is that a Hindu tailor, Kanhaiya Lal, his son, his young son, in fact, used his phone to share a forwarded post that backed the spokeswoman and what she had said, supported her. And in retaliation, he started receiving death threats. And then we see, shockingly, with all the trademarks, in fact, I would say, of terrorism and what terrorists do, we see this tailor beheaded on camera in a grotesque video that is then released on social media. And we then see the two men who did this, two Muslim men, come on camera, brandish the swords and the knives they used to kill this tailor, smile, issue a warning against the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and warn that anyone who insults the Prophet, this will be the fate that they will receive. These men have since been arrested. They are being tried under an anti-terror law. But it reminds me of Daniel Pearl, the journalist who was beheaded by a terror group in Pakistan. We have not typically seen, clashes between religious groups manifest themselves in the way that they have in this particular episode in Rajasthan, where internet lines are now snapped and there is acute tension between the communities and an inflammable tinderbox type situation from a law and order perspective.
Well, tell us more about what this says about tensions in the country and where they might be headed for this to culminate in such a brutal killing.
Well, this particular beheading, the tailor Kanhaiya Lal's body was found with 26 stab wounds. So you can have some sense of the sort of brutality. His killers then, who had boasted about killing him, tried to escape on motorcycles. They were arrested and so on. This, to me personally, as a journalist who spent some time reporting on conflict and terrorism, it seems to me that there could be linkages with other Islamist groups outside of India. You could be now looking at groups outside of India. The police, I know, is investigating links with Pakistan that are looking to fish in troubled waters. But the troubled waters, of course, are all our own. And the troubled waters, as I said, began with this particular comment that was made on a primetime TV channel in a very sort of inflammatory debate. And the person in question, since is underground, the spokeswoman who has been suspended, she's also received a number of death threats. But on the other side, in the last couple of days, we saw a Muslim journalist, Mohammed Zubair, being actually arrested for a tweet that he posted a few years ago in 2018. He was accused of offending Hindu sentiments for a joke he made based on a popular Hindi film. And I guess the point I'm trying to make is that there is a larger context to what is happening. There is the issue of representation. The ruling party no longer has any Muslim members of parliament or any Muslims in its legislative assemblies. We have seen strongmen, rulers, chief ministers of the BJP bring out bulldozers as an instrument of law enforcement, and the bulldozers have often been used more against Muslim accused than Hindu accused. None of this, of course, leads up to any sort of rationalization for what we've seen take place in Rajasthan, which I have personally called out as an act of terror and not only a law and order issue. So I think that it's a kind of unfortunate point that we see ourselves standing at, where suddenly there's a kind of volatility in the discourse around religion that I very much hope that the Prime Minister will step in to shut down, because these are not the issues that India should, in fact, be embroiled in. We are known for our diversity, our pluralism. We have 200 million Muslims plus, and literally every Muslim of consequence has condemned what these men have done in Rajasthan and have asked for exemplary punishment.
Are you hopeful of seeing such leadership going forward? Has the government been doing enough to calm the situation?
Well, I think, different states have different parties looking after them. Rajasthan, in fact, has a non-BJP opposition leadership. So politics does tend to enter these situations as it is as is inevitable. I believe the one way to shut this down is for that cue to come from the top. I wish Prime Minister would speak himself. I do not think he will, because that's not his political style. It is not characteristic of him. So far, we have not seen more violence in the aftermath of this grisly, grotesque murder caught on camera. I hope it stays that way. But as an Indian, I'm dejected. I'm dejected at seeing the kind of inflammability and volatility in our public discourse. In Hindi, there's a phrase, tu tu me me. It captures a finger pointing between communities. It's your fault. No, it's your fault. We need leadership that will transcend this and calm and de-escalate the situation.
What are the streets like now, particularly in Rajasthan where this attack occurred? What is security like, and there are more protests expected?
Well, most of India, in fact, I would say nearly all of India, is absolutely bustling with activity as ever. We have to remember the size the size of India. What happens in one corner doesn't impact other corners. So the town of Udaipur, known famously for its old palaces and its lake, it's a very famous global tourist destination. That city is certainly shut down because social media can be sometimes used to spread this kind of video. For example, the police has requested media outlets to not show the video, and none of us have, because it is really, really grotesque and it could cause further riots. So social media, internet lines have been shut down for that reason. Peaceful protests are being allowed, but like I said, Udaipur is tense. I would not say that the rest of India is tense at all. The tension is more in our discourse, not actually on the ground in terms of cities being open or the streets being unsafe. The streets are normal, the streets are quiet, but the tension is in the coarseness of the language that we sometimes see, whether in television or on social media. And as we know, the distance between hate speech and hate crime is not necessarily a very long one, and that is what worries me.
Barkha Dutt, thank you for giving us a clearer picture of what's happening there. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.